Welcome to the stream, everyone. Been a fat minute, chat. Been a fat minute. That is. How y'all doing, chat? How's y'all doing? I am not Admiral. I am Brun. I'm the Pope. Joshy Poo, can you please do your job? Thank you. Hi, Glenn. Hi, Pro. Hi, Cheese. Hi, Blaze. Hi, Candic. Yes, sir. Let's go, Pope. Let's go, Pope. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer and closer to the start of our presidential debate for the Army of the Potomac. It is being moderated by yours truly, the Pope. Here are two of our candidates so far. Not too sure if we are getting any others, like I was told. But right now, these are the two candidates. And considering this is being hosted by the Pope, we are doing it in the Basilica of St. Peter. Thank you, I'm cracked. What's up, Prince? Blaze. Bro. If y'all don't like this, like, y'all can volunteer to help. Like, damn. Like, chill. All right. So we're gonna get into our sponsors that I missed so very much. Who is DMing me? Bro, chill, Admiral. All right, brought to you by Pika's Pizzeria. All right, chat. We are going to get started real soon. We can see we have a good crowd. We have a good crowd here. Oh, of course, invisible wall. Okay, pro. Okay, pro. All right, all right, all right, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting started with our debate real soon. Let me pull this up. Let me. Where is this? This was linked in the social channel in a House Divided main server. There's a 50-member slot. Yeah, there's a lot of first-time chatters. Welcome all. Is the LARP ever this serious? Sometimes it is, Burnt. Sometimes it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, all right, all right. We are going to get started. So we have two candidates today, chat. Yes, Mad LARP, Mad LARP. So first, we have Vel, the current president of the Army of the Potomac. Thank you for the follow, whoever followed. I can't see it. Sorry. So Vel, go ahead and give an opening statement. Who you are, etc. All that stuff. You have 2 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Well, everybody here knows who I am. I've been here for almost 2 years now, leading the Union for the most part. Got us from the ground up, using the tools brought before me by everybody here. Because, Admiral and Bison over there, yeah, they're all the devs, right? But for the most part, besides Admiral, it's forged from the rankers and the people attending the battles. And it's very important to recognize that, and that's who I'm fighting for, is the fighting man, the people who are not leading lines. I'm fighting for the man in the line, and I've always been doing that. So I gotta turn the stream down. Anyways, Yeah, I like to believe I'm fighting for the guy on the line. I'm fighting for the lowest rankers here. That's who I've always fought for. There's screenshots of me out there of like signing people's uniform, and I consistently believe that I will do that still. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Vel. Now, the other debate attendee, is that Xavier? Xavier? I don't know how to say your name, honestly. I'm sorry. Um, you also have an opening statement. You also have 2 minutes, and they start now. Uh, something just happened with him where he is not speaking. Max, drag him back.
All right. All right.
Okay. Like I said, you have your opening statement. You have 2 minutes starting now.
All right. Hello to the great people of the Union and Potomac. I'm Archangel Xavier, or Xavier, better known as Central or Central Sill, by those who know me for a hot minute now. I'm out of my word. I'm out of the people. I did join fairly early this year, back in January, and I will say I think I've had my fair share of experiences with many people, even though I'm new. I am I'm a proper example that all it takes is to be humble and to to bring everyone together, to put yourself in a proper spot, to become what they like to call me, the populist. You know, I even though I don't have the experience that Vel has within the community, I have the heart to understand that you all wish you guys want something. You know, that there's a lot of needs that you guys need to be met. And I'm here to give you guys those needs, to fulfill those needs for you all. Very well.
Is that
Those are
it?
my remarks.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for I'm assuming gentlemen. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We're inclusive here. Thank you for your opening statements. We are now going to move into some opening questions. Each of you will have 1 minute and 30 seconds roughly to answer each question. And then there will also be a minute for rebuttals if needed. So we're going to start with Vel. Vel, what makes you the most qualified candidate to lead AOTP into its next stage? Your time starts now.
Well, without any like disrespect to my opponent, I've been here the longest. I'm the one who got the CSA off its feet. Unfortunately, that one didn't go to plan, really. However, the CSA one didn't, work out, but the Union one, it's still here. We're still here. There's no like room of question that it's not. You can't say I was doing anything wrong if we're still here to this day. Obviously, I haven't been there for some stuff, but for the most part, it was me who's guiding in the right direction. Ask any veteran from like last year. The time I was gone was miserable. When Cyrus led the army, it was, at least I believe, widely considered terrible. Sam has been doing a fine job for the most part, but that's because he's almost been copying like exactly what was done under me. No disrespect, Sam, but it's true. I think that's about a minute.
You have a minute 30. You have 5 seconds
no.
left.
Bruh.
And that's time. All right. Same question goes to you, Xavier. What makes you the most qualified candidate to lead AOTP into its next stage? And your time starts now.
Well, I agree that Vel has been here for a hot minute now and has brought many experience throughout the years. I think it's time for a change. I think it's time that the people want something new. Something different to try out. Although, although Vel, like I said, has been here for a long time, there's still been problems that have been brought up every now and then, and I get these problems brought to me every other time of the day. Still happens. It's still continuous. These problems are recurring, even even down to the company level, down to the regiment level. Ever since I came in as Inspector General, I promised to all these people in the Union that something will be resolved for the regiments, that something will be resolved for the people, to protect the people, to allow them to speak up against high command, to allow them to speak up against general staff, to allow them just speak up in general. They need a voice. They need someone to represent them as a whole. And even though Vel probably thinks he's done that, I am in most humble to believe that someone brand new can do that. I personally have only been here under Sam. Well, I was here under Sirius, and I will agree, he was here for 1 week, and it did not go well.
That's
It really did
time.
not.
Thank you, Xavier. Vel, I want to give you a minute to rebut the out with the old claims. What's your what do you think about that? Why do you think they should stay with old? You have a minute
You have a
starting
minute.
now.
Well, I don't want to point anything at facts because facts are not exactly looked at sometimes. But why is it that every time I had to go balance the battles that they complained about numbers for, that when I left, they lost, and when I came back, they won by over 1,000 points? The CSA leadership is in the crowd, and even they would say that is true. Again, no disrespect to Sam, but before I was here, they were getting floored. When Cyrus led it, they were getting demolished. Why is it that when I come back and fix, like, I think it was literally the day Django did his reform in the Army of the Potomac, I just rejoined, stayed for 1 week, just kind of didn't do much. I just kind of watched, saw what went down, reformed the army the week later, and suddenly we're winning by 1,000 points.
That's time.
Obviously, we've had some. Oh,
Thank you, Vel. Sorry to cut you off, but time's sake.
you're good.
All right. Next, we have our second commentator, Max. Max, please ask your question.
All right, so this one will go to Xavier first. What unique strengths would your administration bring to AOTP? You have a minute and 30, right, Brun? You can do the timer.
Yeah, minute
Starting
30.
now. Starting now.
I think the strongest thing that I can bring to the AOTP within my administration is complete publicity, complete democracy to the people. Like I've been saying, I've been running the platform that everyone gets the freedom to speak, the freedom to criticize high command, and I think that's something that under Vel has not really been great so far, or under Sam. I've complaints from every other regiment, 149th, First Minnesota especially, 36. People have wanted to leave because they just don't agree that high command is not doing a good job at commanding or leading, or even just let them be criticized. I believe that my administration will allow everyone to do that. Sorry. There has not been enough with I've not had a full fair share with Vel in this community, but I have in the past. I've known Vel since 2021, and I understand he has not really changed much from what I know. He's still the same old man, grumpy, not very humble, and believes he can do what he can in his own power to keep that power. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
Okay. And same question to you, Val. What unique strengths would your administration bring to AOTP? Starting now, 1 minute 30.
Well, everybody's going to point out that it's basically going to be a race between, like the old and the new. And in this case, you might believe new does have the better strength because, they're more up to date with the changes of the game and how things work and how people are. Sure, maybe a year ago, I was not a very humble person. I still don't think I'm humble, but that's because I believe I can do everything that I need to do. There's always the quote, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And that is my wholehearted belief. Simply put, I am going to be the boots on the ground. I'm going to be working hard to help these guys out. Anybody who needs help, really. You could, like, I'd be willing to go out and answer the question of every single individual there is. If all they have to do is just ask me, and suddenly I will work hard for them. I have this belief that because I've been leading this group for over a year now, I know better than the private who joined yesterday. And I'd be willing to stand on that. I don't care. I don't like I think I don't care is a little bit harsh, but I think I know better than the average person about what needs to be done with this group. And
That is
the
time.
ability I have
All
Yep.
right. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry for cutting you off, but
You're good.
again, 1 minute 30 time. All right. This next question, we're going to start with you, Val. In your view, what should the role of president prioritize the most? Stability, expansion of regiments, innovation, or reform? You have 1 minute 30 starting now.
Honestly, there's no one job you could put for the president, but if I had to, like if I really had to, I'd probably say it's the like I wish there was like a middle ground between some of that, but I think it's reform. When you do reforms, you can make real change. That's big change. Obviously, you'll look at expanding regiments or stability, but stability is built out of reform. Expanding regiments is built out of reform. You need reform as your ground zero. Like that is that's the paperwork. That's the paperwork to getting everywhere you need. Obviously, you could just skip that entirely. You can go just get a new merge, but that merge could probably dip after a week when they find out they're in some random like 3rd Brigade, 1st Division, 2nd Corps sort of stuff. If you're over organized, it'll be too much and it'll be messy and muddled. If you have no stability, that's because your reform is just everywhere. You need to have a reform that is cool, calm, concise, and organized. Organization is critical. And that's what I do best. Like I said, after I rejoined, I reformed the army the week after.
Sorry, I forgot my microphone was muted. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
Xavier, in your view, what should the role of president prioritize most? Stability, expansion of regiments, innovation, or reform? You have 1 minute 45 because of my accident starting now.
I think a lot of those really do reflect the role of president, and I do agree a little bit here with Vel. Stability and reform is something very important when it comes to the AOTP and the Army. The issues we've had in the past were that we have brought in people from the CSA, like the Django, to come do our reforms. That was bad. That hurt us a lot. It ended up with us losing a lot of people. Why did we do that? Where was the thought process in that? We were uninformed. It was dumb. But that's why I believe that should be solely on the president to do reforms and continue bringing in stability and peace of mind for the rankers within the army. Because right now, everyone has been upset with reform after reform after reform. That's all it's been. Now the question is, where do we start? Where would Vel start with the reforms? I think there's really not much at the moment to work with for him, because he believes that he believes that everything has a downfall. There's really nowhere. I I think we're running fine as an army at the moment. You know, but under Vel, he what Vel wants to do is continue reforms, continue pushing reforms. I don't believe we should continue pushing reforms. People are tired of reforms. There's no need for more reforms. The army should stay the way it is right now, and it works well the way it is right now.
Is that all?
Yep.
All right. Perfect. We are
I'd have a
going to
rebuttal
be
to that.
hold on. We are going to be sending out a approval poll in chat real quick. It's a Google form, completely anonymous. Please fill it out. Results will be posted on stream as we get them. So Josh, if you could please post that link for me. Thank you. And then thank you. All right. All right. Max, your turn.
All right. So, next question. If elected, what would your first major initiative be within your first 30 days? Vel, you first, a minute 30.
Could you repeat that? You just sped through that.
If elected, comma, space, what, space, would, space, be, space, your without an E, space, first, space, major, space, initiative, space, within, space, your first, oh shit, my fault, your space, first, space,
All right, I think we get it, bro.
space, days, question mark. 1 minute 30 starting now.
I believe the first thing that should happen is just a review, not a grand review for like medals and shit. So I can't cuss. Just a look at what we have. There should be no reform. He said that I like to keep reforming. I don't want to do that. I want to keep what we have. I just don't want to have to reform. Reform only happens when you have issues. And I don't think we have any issues. I think we're in a fine spot. Just we need to level, like right now is the next phase of, reform. We need to get our stability now. We don't have to reform, we don't have to expand. We just have to sit on what we have and just build that. My first thing I want to do is just take a look at what we have and decide, okay, is this good? Are we growing? Are we going anywhere? Campaigns are out, like around the door. So we need to just keep what we have and prepare. The more we find out about campaigns, the more we, we get closer to what we want for campaign. Oh, everybody's talking about the quartermaster and all that. Like, we don't know what we need. Obviously, it's going to happen, but we don't know anything about it yet. That's all I have.
All right. And so, same question to Xavier, minute 30 starting now.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I'll go real slow for you, okay? All right. If elected, comma, what would be your first major initiative within your first 30 days, question mark. 1 minute 30 starting now.
The first thing I would do, if elected, is go to every single regiment and talk to them about the concerns or wishes that need to be worked on. I keep repeating myself here. I'm running on the platform that everyone is considered a nerd. I believe that what me and my administration need to do is prioritize people and go up to them and ask them, hey, what more can we help to boost your rally, to boost your community, to let you guys be a little bit more independent here and there. That's an issue we've had with our administration. No regiment has had proper independence. And I understand that they cannot make their own servers, but even within the AOTP server, there's not been much independence. And that's the main problem and concerns that I've gotten from a lot of people, that they have no way to work on their own and do their own things when high command is always pulling the strings on them. I think the only way we can push forward is by letting them take some initiative, whether that be in battle or whether that just be in public. I think my main goal is to bring in merges, bring in boosts, bring in advertisement for all regiments, and allow the AOTP to grow just like that.
That is time. All right. Was that the fourth question, Max? I low-key forgot.
Yeah.
Rebuttal.
that was the
Okay. Vel, you have 1 minute for a rebuttal. Time starting now.
I think what he's saying is a lot of blank. It's just like there's not much there. I don't want to poke at him being newer, but he's been an AHD for I think 4 months more or less. He could probably tell me that.
Yeah, 5.
The armies existed in this form for over a year. What I don't think he understands is that when he's leading a group like this, you kind of have to accept that people are not going to always get what they want. We rallied 200, I think, just around a month ago. That's 200 people that you're going to have to bend to for demands and complaints. I'm 99% sure that you will never have anybody not complain. Even when I was in the Confederacy, in the Foreign Legion, and then I was in 5th Virginia, after I had rejoined the CSA to balance the game, I had always got DMs to help the Union with their issues. And I always did, because they always will be mad about something. That's all.
Time. All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on to our next section of questions. Vel, we're going to start with you. Where do you see AOTP 1 year from now under your leadership? You have 1 minute 30 starting now.
Well, given what time of year it is, it's just about to be summer. School is letting out in places currently across the world, especially with college. I don't imagine we're going to have any issues. So long as people keep their minds clear and go forward with the idea that the army is itself, not like a bunch of fractured different regiments and all that, we're going to be fine. The idea that we're just going to fall over dead if one regiment gets mad or a ranker leaves it's absurd. And it's not to say people are replaceable, because they're not. I hate when people leave. When people tell me they're leaving or going to Confederacy, it annoys me, it irritates me. But fortunately, we can recruit, we can make that back more and better. And with campaigns around the door, I think the only place we're going is up, because recruitment exists. Campaigns is innovative and new. People will join to see that. It matters how the regiments will retain them, though. So I imagine we'll go up. We'll have setbacks, but we'll be fine. That's all I got.
I would like to actually step in here. Vel, you are on record having swapped Union and CSA at least once each time. You say that you feel bad whenever someone swaps. How do you say that when you yourself have swapped a few times, once very recently too?
Would you rather an entire regiment of new players who join the game and realize, wait, we outnumber the CSA by 30, we should just walk into them for 20, 40 minutes? Or would you like a balanced fight that is actually difficult, challenging, and entertaining to play,
All right.
or the old member, myself, and my veterans of almost 7 months now, who are used to fighting on both sides, could just go over there for even just a week and just make the fight a little harder in the Union.
All right. Thank you for your response. Same question goes to you, Xavier. Where do you see AOTP 1 year from now under your leadership? You have a minute 30 starting now.
1 year from now, I believe that with my hard work and my close relations with a lot of people within social media, mainly Glenn, I believe we can really advertise the AOTP real hard and push for very, very hard recruitment. I think from there, like he said, now that we have a new thing coming into HD with campaigns, I do believe we will receive a flock of people. But even though we receive the flock of people, now the question is, how do we keep them? What are some incisives that we can give them to stay? What are some things that we can entertain them with to stay? You can't really have everyone controlled together in this singular server and expect them to be like, hey, we want more freedom. We want more things to do. This is why Minnesota grew. This is why Minnesota is able to work well just by themselves. They don't need someone higher than them telling them that like, hey, you need to be in our server or else yada yada yada. No. It's they're better off within their own server, within their own independence. And I believe that's something that could work well for the rest of the servers. Although I will say that is a community thing to go about. That's something I want to push for within the AOTP for every
That
other
is
regiment
time.
to line up both.
Thank you, Xavier. Max?
Uh, okay, so I do want to ask you about that, Xavier. I've heard a lot personally firsthand about the quote unquote benefits of units being in their own server, but at the same time, I've also engaged with that, and it seems to make those people very decisive about their individuality. What do you think about that?
I think the thing is there will be individuality, but the main thing is you gotta hold that influence over them and get them to keep your trust so they don't realize that, hey, we need to stray away from these people. The only reason these regiments want to stray away is because current high command doesn't accept them, doesn't give them the proper reassurance that, hey, we believe in you. We know that you are important to us. We trust that you will benefit us and the AOTP. Some like
I,
First
I
Minnesota has lost trust a
I
lot
hear
with
that, but at the
it.
same time, I hear that, but at the same time, I've directly engaged with people who have their own server, and it makes them dissent against High Command. High Command is not an evil. High Command, if you win, is you. And so the way that I'm seeing this is that you're on the side of individuality until you're on the side of High Command. And when you're on the side of High Command, what you're saying now, I think will change. What do you think?
I agree. The president is part of the high command. The president is the overall one in charge. But even though I am in high command as well currently, I still listen to the people and see what it is that what their issues are. I'm not biased towards it. I'm not biased towards high command. I'll talk to Sam about these issues. I'll bring it up to him. I'll be like, hey, these people want to do this. These people want to do that. This is what we need to change as high command. There's really there shouldn't be any bias within the high command in general. It should be an overall the whole entirety of high command should be representing the entire AOTP. And there's none of that at the moment, besides myself, allowing these people to come to me so I can relay what they want to Sam.
Okay. And Vel, what do you think about that real quick?
My rebuttal? Or
Yeah.
what do you, or,
Yeah.
I think that is so disingenuous and makes a really bad show of yourself as a Union Corps commander. Completely, like, just mind you, I'll say right now, his corps consists of 2 regiments of Minnesota in their own server, 8th Ohio in their own server, cavalry in their own server.
Okay,
all
okay.
of which
Quick,
have problems.
quick question on that. Didn't you give him corps commander? Didn't you give him that job?
I entrusted. I saw his decent results as the Army Inspector General, and I thought let's trust that.
Okay. Well, Brun, I'm gonna hand it back to you. Bro. Okay. All right. So, first question, I'll give it to Xavier. What specific improvements would you prioritize for develop? What? Brun, you lied to me. All right. Sorry. Question 7. How would you balance AOTP's growth while maintaining professionalism and quality? You have a minute 30, Xavier.
Our main thing with growth is advertising. I don't ever really see any regiments advertised outside of AOTP or even AHD in general. I think if we just get staff all together, like all regimental staff all together, and be like, hey, you guys need to push for this, you guys need to push for that, then okay, they'll understand. I'm not really seeing any sort of movement from high command right now at the moment, telling them to recruit. I think with the establishment of the Quartermaster Corps, what I have seen from the CS is that they utilize quartermasters to recruit for the regiment. I think that's something we can implement here. Have our quartermasters help the regiment to recruit, find merges, find people who actually want to participate, active participants for them. That's all I gotta say.
And same question to you, Val, and I will restate. How would you balance ATP's growth while maintaining professionalism and quality? You have a minute 30 starting now.
I would like to say first that this is literally what I do. This is how we got here. I've, for the longest time, tried to balance this, and there will always be little gaps where you'll have units with a good rally that aren't very good or don't like to stick around too much or don't attend, for example. Basically, you'll have to find a middle ground. And middle grounds are not very easy to find these days. Haha. What I did in the Union early on to do this was I found units that were good, units that were considered veterans, or maybe not veterans, but they're disciplined. You need to put them up, put them like on a show really, and just let them be the model. It used to be 1st Minnesota. It's kind of what I use the presidential unit citation as in the Union. It's basically just to show these are the model, these are your role models. And that's what I like to use it for. So that's what I have.
Back to you, Brun.
All right. So, Vel, we're going to start with you. Considering you are a veteran of AHD and you are a veteran of the Union, you're a veteran of the CSA, you're a veteran as a whole, what separates a successful long-term AOTP from one that fades after temporary activity spikes or a temporary streak of winning a lot of battles? You have a minute 30 starting now.
You can kind of see it in the commanders. You'll see when you have a dedicated member that they're active and like not overly active. They're not the kind that's in chat 24/7, but they're the kind who is there for everything. But they clearly have their own time. And I'll use Lox's Union for example. We had a general, I believe named Alex. He was the 2nd division, and he was brought in by Lox, had no prior experience in the genre at all, besides I think as an officer like 3 years ago. I knew the moment I saw him that guy was not going to last. I met a lot of his staff. His staff were just about the same people. They were just new regiments who had no experience. And immediately I knew that was cooked. It was done. And as if you could tell, they're not here. Maybe the Ohio Brigade survived, but that's a long-lasting brigade. 8th Ohio, 36th Ohio are old regiments. And you can see they're still here. NYC is still here. He's in, I think he was here earlier. But yeah,
That is time.
old veteran.
Thank you, Vel. Xavier, same question to you. What separates a successful long-term AOTP from one that fades after temporary activity spikes or a winning streak? You have a minute 30 starting now.
I think something. I think the part where it fades is kind of a standing point. You know, it's a pillar telling us that, hey, it's telling us, hey, there's something we need to learn here. And while I understand that there are some benefits to having veterans, there are more benefits to understanding that there are people who know better than those veterans. Just because someone has been here longer doesn't mean that hey, they're gonna do better. One hard truth that you'll learn in life is that there's gonna be someone better than you, no matter what it is you do, no matter how hard you push yourself to do it. There is going to be someone there who is going to be able to stand above you, tower over you, even if there's somebody who is brand new to the thing that they're doing. No one needs experience to learn something quickly. Some people are just quick learners. Some people just know how to do that. Very simple. Yeah, I think the fading of our win streaks really does teach a harsh lesson with us here, and allows us to better understand what went wrong and what we can do to fix these things. You know, whether that be need to bring in
Time.
maybe new commanders.
Thank you, Xavier.
I would like to quickly have a rebuttal against that. I think that's kind of an atrocious take on experience, because like experience is the knowledge that you gain through doing. To say that that doesn't stack up to someone being naturally talented doesn't really make sense. Like I understand you could do things that Vel couldn't do because of your different experiences, though, not because of your natural ability. And I think that to say that is kind of an oversight. What do you think about that?
I understand. I understand. It does sound whack. It does sound crazy, but that is a hard truth you learn. I'm currently in the army, and that is something harsh that I learned myself with leadership. That the old leadership, although they were good and they were nice, has to be replaced because it was either they were too nice or that they didn't care too much. Oh,
But
yeah.
aren't you also coming from the perspective of being too nice? You are the same individual who's saying you will hear everyone out. You will listen to what they have to say. Isn't that a little too nice when you're trying to manage hundreds of people, like Vel said? What do you think about that?
And I understand that. And I think the part with the current leadership not being too nice is the main issue that everyone has. That we think that it's just the AOTB is just way too strict when it comes to down to the regimental level, with commanders not being able to do that much because HICOM doesn't let them do that much, or because HICOM doesn't even let them speak out against them. What the
But
fuck is going on?
yeah, they're on it. They're on. Just let's continue. But I will say I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, like if you're not if you don't have them on a leash, then they will run away. That's just how it is. Like I lead regiments against the Union, and I've seen how they operate when Vela's not there. I've seen what his experience does, but I've also seen what the strengths of Minnesota, for example, are. You know, they have a lot more people, but I think there is a stark difference between the value of a person and multiple people. A person needs to have a reason for you to give them a value, if that makes sense. For example, I don't know much about you, but I think that you're still valuable because you know in your speaking, you're obviously showing that you do know something about this, and you do know that you can do something about what you perceive as a possible issue. But I also see that Vel has been doing work just by virtue of his existence here for longer. What do you think Vel's record actually is compared to what most people would say it is?
I think the main part that needs to be pointed out, the real truth that needs to be pointed out with Vel, is that he thinks too much of himself. He doesn't give credit to anyone within the army. He doesn't give credit to any of the regiments. He will say he does, and when he does, it'll be a one-time thing, or just to get their backs. But he never gives full credit to the army. He gives credit to himself and himself only. When I was IG, I never gave credit to myself. The whole reason of IG was to not give credit to myself or HICOM, but was to give credit to those who stepped up and put themselves in charge of the regiment to go up to HICOM and speak up about what it is, what the rights should be within the regiment or as a regiment. The one
Yeah.
thing that Vel doesn't do is the only thing Vel does is think of himself. He doesn't ever think of the regiments. He doesn't ever fully think of the army. He thinks he is the army, but he is not. The army is everyone here sitting right in front of me, or everyone here watching the stream.
Okay, I see.
Xavier,
Vel, what do you think? Huh?
no, go ahead,
I need
Max.
to be back up.
Yeah, Vel needs to get back up. And Vel, what do you think about that? Do you have a rebuttal?
I do.
Yeah, Admiral, can you get him back up? Thank you. There you go.
Okay, anyways. One thing that I will say. Yeah, sometimes I like to think of myself as the guy who's responsible for all the hard work. However, I am not somebody who will just constantly deny the reality. I am the one person who does accept reality more than anybody else. The Union is built up by 200 and some odd people. Fortunately, I'm the one who brought grand reviews to AHD. I gave and still do give medals all the time. I lead a regiment myself. I like to think my regiment is very good. Obviously, I know sometimes we suck. I don't just disband the entire regiment because they don't perform well. I like to think that everybody who is in these battles can get better at them. So if they're given the right hand holding and led in the right direction, they can become really good. 36 Ohio used to suck balls. Now they're actually pretty decent. I'll say the same about Lasagna's cavalry. Back when originally they used to be terrible. Now they're good.
Right. So I have a question though. Do you? I think that you kind of did prove his point though. You do tend to go on a lot about yourself, but is this genuinely founded? Like, what do you say about the experiences of yourself to warrant you kind of having this approach that you're the top dog essentially?
If there's no top dog who's willing to put their leg down, put the fist down, stomp at the table, you're just going to have a bunch of people who don't care. That's just how it is. A weak leader means regiments that have no leader, and then you get weak regiments. Cyrus is a perfect example. He didn't do anything like that. He tried to be like me in the sense that he tried to be the iron fist that, kept the regiments in line. It doesn't work. If you don't be a iron example, you will not have iron regiments. Simple as that. And that
All
goes
right.
for anything.
Okay. That's good. All right, Brun, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
I don't think the right approach is to go to them and tell them, "Hey, you're out." That's not the right approach. The right approach is to try to figure out. Well, of course, first you got to figure out what the issue is, what it is that went wrong there and then. Now, when it comes to something like the community staff, I will say, because I'm not a part of that, that is out of my hands. Although I will try my hardest to defend whatever rights it is needed that the regiment is losing, or whatever privileges they believe they're losing. I I think the only right approach is to allow them to talk it out and figure out what the issue is, instead of letting some sort of high and mighty guy um, put his foot down and be like, "Hey, you're out because I say you're out because you're affecting me, or because you're ruining my reputation, or whatever." Why does your reputation matter, and not the voices of the people? Why is it that the only thing that matters is how you are perceived, and not what the people think of the issues, and why you aren't allowing them to speak up about the truth, or what they believe is the truth, or what they believe should be said out loud instead of behind closed doors. That's all I gotta say.
That's all you got to say. You have another minute.
I have another minute. Like I said, I don't think anything should be behind closed doors. There's a lot of the publicity that goes within these concerns and issues, and I've been there throughout this entire situation, and I believe that it is very disgusting the way it's been handled, and so does said regiment. Not just them, but several other regiments do believe that it's quite disgusting the way it's been handled. Oh, there I go again. It's it's wrong. It's wrong, and I think the only way to do it is by allowing community staff and HICOM to bring it up to the public and let the public know what went wrong and what it is that needs to be said and done and fixed. So there's a genuine lesson learned here, instead of throwing them out behind closed doors and not telling anyone what it
That is
is
time.
that had happened.
All right, Val, same amount of time, 2 minutes 30. Same exact question. Earlier this week, there were concerns regarding cooperation between a regiment, AOTP staff, and AHD staff. What lessons did you take away from the situation, and what would you do in that situation? 2 minutes, 30 seconds, starting.
Well, I have the fortunate / unfortunate thing of being the community manager of HD. That means I'm pretty high up in the, like the food chain, I guess. I'm involved in most, if not all, important issues that come to AHD. It doesn't even have to be related to AOTP, and I'm probably involved. So that means I know a good amount of everything that goes on in AHD. Most of the time, I like to give work to my subordinates in administration or in management, to let them do the work they are expected to do as management and administration. That same thing that goes in AHD, Army of the Potomac. It all is a food chain. It's not a food chain, obviously, but it's like a line. And I would like to more replicate the ideas that everybody can do the work they need to do to, like, what's the word? Find a middle ground. Yeah. 'Cause agreements and disagreements happen all the time. They happen literally every single day. So the middle ground is the most important thing we could find. And I think we as an army need to find, a middle ground on all of our issues. Community issues are a different level of issue, because some things are just not meant to be handled by the army regiments. It's just not. Okay.
You have 30 seconds left.
I think that the only people who should be handling community issues are truly community level staff. If they're not community staff, they should try to stay out of it because it's just where you don't want to be involved in. It's stuff that you shouldn't have to handle and nobody wants you to handle. It's community stuff, and that's it.
From now on, Max will be taking over questions. Max, uh,
Yeah, we're going to go through questions pretty quickly. Each will be 30 seconds, so we expect you to answer quickly. This first one will go out to Xavier. What leadership qualities, how would you handle disagreement within your cabinet or officer team? You have 30 seconds starting now.
The only way to handle proper disagreements between the officer staff is by hearing them out, figure out what criticisms it is they have or need to be said, and obviously find that middle point, that middle ground to come to agreement that, hey, the only way to do this and by resolving these issues is by working together to figure out what it is both sides want. Obviously, that's common sense. You're not going to get anywhere by just arguing back and forth. There has to be something said and done, something that will make you all, happy. Something that will make everyone happy, pretty much.
time.
Okay. Same question to you, Val. How would you handle a disagreement in your cabinet or officer team within your cabinet or officer team starting now?
I will handle it the same way I've handled it for the last months and years. I'm largely criticized by new people who join, and they say that like our staff meetings are messes. I'd be willing to agree to an extent that sometimes they get messy, but that's because I let people voice what they want when they are, if it's a respected member. Like we had an argument a long time ago, I believe Nano and CJ. Those are both pretty high up members of it in the Army of the Potomac. And I'd be willing to
Time.
let them just argue, just talk.
All right. So time is up, but I will have some rebuttals for you guys. Right. So first for Xavier, I mean, you're saying that you'll hear them out and find a middle ground, but that's not how that always works. Sometimes it's win or lose, and you have to pick. How would you go work through a situation like that?
And that is the depressing part about it. People will be stubborn about things. I've dealt with a lot of stubborn people here in the community. I've had to figure out my own ways, to get them to agree to things. And I will say, I think I've done a pretty good job myself to get people to agree to things, even when they've been stubborn about it. I don't think I've ever ran into anybody who will hold their ground fully and be like, hey, I am going to be in the right no matter what. But if
All
it
right.
does come to that point, I think the only thing to do is really put my own foot down and be like, hey man, either you come to a conclusion or I'm gonna need you to walk out that door.
All right, and for Vel, you're saying you said that you've been too lenient at times. What do you have to say about that? Are you doing too little or are you doing too much?
I think when I usually say I'm being too lenient, it's meaning I'm doing too little in circumstances that I need to be a hard line. That's usually the job of the president, at least if you ask me, is to be the person who can make the choice if it has to be done. I'm always going to say that if I'm being too lenient, it means I'm not doing enough. And I think that I would have to do more in that situation to make a decision or find a middle ground.
All right, so we're moving on to the next question. Describe past leadership failure and what it taught you. You have 30 seconds. Vel first, starting now.
Some old veterans will remember back last October, I was a little bit too trusting with Army command and server ownership. And we lost the 9th Iowa and then the server of the Army of the Potomac after some hotheads were allowed a little bit too much control and permissions. And yeah, it's safe to say we suffered pretty immensely for a good week or two after that. And I'll say, just at least for me, it we'll never
Time.
get back to the preparation we were at.
Time. All right. Same question to you, Xavier. You have 30 seconds starting now.
I think one thing that has really been bad to me in terms of my leadership is my push for recruitment. When I had been put in these spots as regiment commander and previous, I've been able to rally good 10, 15 men, but the only thing I wasn't able, Jesus Christ, the only thing I wasn't able to do was push for recruitment, push for my staff to actually do something about it. But I think now, obviously I've learned my lesson then and realized that, hey, you guys need to put something. You guys need to get your head in the game, or you're out. I can't rely on staff that are going to do nothing but sit there.
All right.
My game is frozen. Oh my god. Okay, I might have to rejoin.
All right. So next question for Vel first. If members only remembered one thing about your presidency, what would you want it to be? You have 10 seconds starting now.
If they remember one thing, they'll remember there's no BS, no small, intricate issues that were left unhandled.
Time.
All right. And same question for you, Xavier. I know you're not in game, but still.
All right, can you repeat it?
If members only remembered one thing about your presidency, what would you want it to be? You have 10 seconds starting now.
That they are heard, that they are loved, and that they will be given all the credit that they should deserve.
All right. I do have something to ask, though, about that for both of you. It's just a general question for both of you. What do you think about what do you think the ranker deserves? Like, what do you think the ranker's perspective of being in a regiment in your army is? What is the point that they seek to gain from being in there? You have 30 seconds, Vel, first.
I think what most players will seek is an entertaining thing to do on the side, and that's how I see it. That's how I think most people see it. It's a thing to do for fun. And if it's not fun, if the events are boring, if the people are bad, you will not have people stay that much. Retention means everything in a group like this. So it's just my belief that events should be made fun regardless of what they are. Entertaining, not fun.
Time.
All right, same question for you, Xavier.
I agree.
Yeah.
People are here for the entertainment. People are here to play a game and to have fun. Where's the fun in pushing the same? Where's the fun in the battles being the same every time, with one side being routed and just turning into a mass charge? I think this is more of a question for the community staff to be brought up, or for the developmental staff, to figure out that, hey, new tech needs to be pushed because nobody,
Time.
the rankers, are not having fun.
All right, so I do want to push back on that again. That is something that Vel has brought up, and that, that's part of why he said he was swapping, because a battle isn't fun when one side is being routed all the time, whether it be Union or Confederacy. And I agree, like, yes, but I also want to ask, what new tech are you proposing that would genuinely make the game any different? If people didn't enjoy the game, they wouldn't be playing. But that doesn't mean that they won't complain. People are going to complain about anything and everything, and sometimes you can never appease them. So what do you think that should be added?
I think what needs to be added is more harsher things in terms of lines. Like, obviously it's a line
What
battle
is
game.
what do you mean
But
harsher things in terms of lines?
some more debuffs and buffs. There's really no debuffs
Yeah,
to
there's
going out of
close and
line.
open. Yeah, there is.
Yes,
If
yes,
you're out of
yes,
line,
that's
you go
right.
ahead and
But the thing
unless you're point
is,
blank.
you can have 3 random guys go up behind the line and get that close buff, and it will benefit them. Let them back cap. That's just Rammer at that point. Even without the buff, you can still go out there and Rambo by yourself. I've done it many times myself. I will admit, because I mean, all I do is ride around in battle while I'm commanding.
Yeah, I remember you.
shooting random
There's
people.
been the thing is, 3 people aren't going to actually do anything unless that regiment is just too incompetent to react. That's my opinion. And yeah, I have encountered you riding around, and most of the time you get shot and killed. You don't do anything. I don't think it's really an issue because 3 people are just 3 people. But I do get what you're saying. But if the community as a whole wants more blind battles, it's not going to be what they think it will be. It's going to be boring. It's going to be the same kind of experience you get from NW, but the entire point of our community is to stray from that, especially when campaign comes out, because people don't want to sit in a line and shoot at each other. They genuinely don't actually want to do that. The thing about HD compared to some of these other genres, in my opinion, is that it's faster paced, it's more intense. Things happen within milliseconds, and then you have to be able to react to that. And I think NW is very different from that, because in W it's a lot slower paced. You have a lot more time to do things. It's kind of just you sit there and you shoot. And I think that's one of the main things that differentiates HD from other communities. But I do agree that there are things that we could be adding that will make HD better, and you do have a point there. So I'll move on to some of our last questions. These will be very quick questions. I'll name them off, and each will respond in accordance. Xavier will go first, then Val, and then Xavier. It'll alternate. So our first question is, and you'll answer quickly, just a couple words: quality or quantity of members, Xavier.
Quality.
All right.
All that matters
Val.
is quality.
Quality.
All right. Tradition or reform? Val goes first now.
Tradition.
Then Xavier. Val. All right.
Tradition.
Event quality or event frequency?
That's
Event
too
quality.
easy. Quality, yeah.
Hold on. I want to push back on Xavier. Most of this debate, Xavier, you've been saying you want to push for reform, push for change in AOTP, but you just said tradition. Speak on that.
So I think right now the current state of the AOTP, I don't want to reform the whole army. What I want to reform is high command. I want to fix what the issues going on up there in the heads of everybody at the top, because the only issues I've ever ran into as IG and as current division commander is the regimental commanders and officers telling me that, hey, high command is being bad to us. High command is not listening to us, or high command wants us to listen to their stupid orders in battle that causes their deaths. So I think obviously there's something up there that's going wrong that needs to be changed. I don't know what it is, but I think with at least some sort of influence as president, I'm able to actually talk it out and figure out what those issues could possibly be.
Okay. So next question, real quick: expansion or stability?
Stability. Also, I had a rebuttal for that.
Stability.
Yeah, Val, you can repeat that.
Yeah, my rebuke. If these problems are so real, why am I not told anything? You're in the Army of the Potomac headquarters. Why don't you say it?
And I bring it up. I will say I do bring it up. I brought up some issues last night with lasagna and rot, and those were ignored. I will say, although me and
Those
kept a group
were
chat.
not ignored. They were handled just now.
They were handled, but you didn't answer me. Was the problem?
Well, they were handled. That was the first issue brought to me in 2 weeks. Just saying.
I've said plenty.
I don't see the issues you're seeing right now. And if you're seeing issues, you should do your job and bring them to the guy in charge.
I mainly
There's
bring up
Sam
this issue
here.
with Sam.
Yeah.
I do bring up a lot with Sam.
Yeah, then it's not the president's job then, because you're bringing it to your core, sorry, not your core, your army commander. Anyways, you can go on.
Okay. All right. Transparency or operational privacy is a very big one. I'll give you guys more time to answer this. Xavier first.
transparency. I don't believe that things should happen behind closed doors. That happens way too much, whether it be in the community or just the AOTP in general. And it caused a lot of issues. It caused a lot of confusion. These reforms, like I said, the previous reforms we have, like the Django reforms, those were done behind closed doors. I didn't know about it myself until I woke up that morning and realized that things were being changed, you know. And Sam admits to his mistakes and how wrong that was of it being pushed. Everyone was confused. Nobody was happy. Nobody was proud of it, you know. And
Okay.
it's
And
and I think the one thing that we need the most is allowing transparency to lie within the army.
Vel, what do you think about that?
I do think it should be done behind the scenes.
Why is
Yes.
that?
Generally speaking, no private is going to need to care about why some so and so is put in charge of what, especially if it has nothing to do with them. I guarantee you, there's probably still privates who don't even know what brigade or corps they're in. There's probably some who don't even know the XO of their regiment. It's things that don't matter, that don't need to be mattering to them. I don't want to burden privates with the reality that they're going to have to care about some random reform that has nothing to do with them. And it's pointless stuff to just be like, hey guys, we're reforming the army for the third time, or we're making a system to recruit for your regiment. They don't care about that. They want to play the game. That's all I
Okay.
got.
All right. Next question. Quick answer for this one. Large scale battles or smaller tactical engagements?
Who's going first?
Xavier, because Vel went last.
That's a tough one, to be honest. They both have their benefits. I will say small scales are a little bit more fun because it's not infinite charge after charge after charge. It's people actually being able to enjoy the battles happening. It's actually people being able to do what they could do and match each other. Have a nice firefight with each other instead of
Yeah.
routing one army and it just being a constant route over and over and over. And it benefits both sides because there's no constant route to either or.
Vel, what do you think?
I'm kind of in between. I think there should be bigger battles. I just think the bigger battles need to be fought differently. Bigger battles allow for all the cool like brigade formations we have and all the line formations we have to do line formations and brigade formations. It's cool to have to call on a brigade to move across the map to go support another. It's just how the game is fought currently. It does not support that.
All right.
There wouldn't be a
Next
general
question.
stack for them.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Innovation or consistency?
I think this is for
Xavier
me.
first.
Yeah, that should be for you.
Oh, well, I believe in consistency currently. Is it talking to it, or is it just not fast ones?
Yeah, no, it's fast one. You just answer.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Innovation.
All right. And last question. Officer experience or fresh perspectives? I'll give each of you 1 minute, starting with Vel.
I obviously, because I'm the UNC, I believe in officer experience. In the current state of the game and the group, fresh experience is nothing compared to officer experience. If you're new, obviously you can point out some things and yeah, that's cool. But are you able to put up with, I don't know, maybe like the tedious work, or at least in what I do is I have a lot of uniform work I do for the Army, and it's like if a new guy had to do that, he wouldn't be able to. He just simply would not be able to. I'm up till 2 a.m. doing modules for stuff that sometimes don't even work. It's a lot of hard work that they would not be able to do. Somebody with experience that can they know what they're getting themselves into. They can do that.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Xavier, same question. Officer experience or fresh perspectives? You have 1 minute.
Fresh perspectives, there people are able to new people are able to bring something new to the table, instead of the older people. Yeah, the older people could have been here for a long time, but just because they were here for a long time doesn't mean that they care. Just because they've been here for a long time doesn't mean that they have been here because they want to put effort into it. There's a lot of old people that I see in the AOTP that are still in the server. They don't play the game. They have high ranks. They don't do anything. Officers don't do jack shit. They're just there to hold the rank. You have brand new guys who have had their fair share experience. Me personally, I've been doing this sort of stuff within mainly the Napoleonic genre since 2018. You can have brand new people come in and figure out a new plan for the people and the community. You can't continuously keep the same process going over and over only because either it doesn't work, which has been proven that obviously it hasn't worked because nothing has changed. We haven't hit our goal of 200 rally again since the first time Vel did it once, you know, only because there's no consistency within that. I think that bringing in brand new people can help spark up brand new ideas for the army in general and the people.
Is that it?
Yes.
All right. And we'll end with a rebuttal from Vel. You have 1 minute starting now.
We rallied 200 at the last Grand Review. And I will say, yeah, new people, new ideas, but new ideas are not, they're not brought about unless you have experience. Just because I say I want to reform with new people, yeah. Just because you want new things does not mean you're going to get new things. The only way you get new things to happen is if you look down to the structure and you work from the ground up. That's how new things happen. Because if you just throw a new thing on there, it's just going to mess things up. That's just kind of how it works. That's it.
Yep. I do want to bring up something that Xavier said. He did say that, or claim that you have people, sitting around, people that don't really do anything anymore. What do you have to say about that?
I fired all those guys. Western is fired. I don't even know who else is still around who just is a rank sitter. NYC is not a rank sitter anymore. He runs a regiment now, and it's a pretty good one. I can't think of any other rank sitters. The only other one is Door, and he got moved down to USS. So, yeah, there is no more. Sorry, buddy.
And Xavier, what do you have to say about that?
Those were all rank sitters, yes, previously, and I will agree with him. We did end up moving him down a while back, a couple weeks ago, but they were still there for a hot minute. Doing really nothing because they didn't have a job to do. Monica had nothing to do, and I don't blame him for that. He was a rank sitter for a hot minute, but he's back down.
Xavier,
may.
hold on. Xavier, what about your inspector general role? I don't know much about what happened. Max and Vel know more, but Vel is a candidate, so I'm not asking him. What was that position? What were your duties? And like for Max, was that a rank setter role?
So what I did with that rank was I had pretty much done. I'm gonna repeat myself here. Listened to everyone, heard the complaints for against HICOM or what needs to be done, what needs to be changed. I'll bring that up to Sam. Me and Sam would talk about some sort of things, whether it regard Minnesota or 6 Cav or 149th or just something that they had an issue with. I personally, my whole plan with it was to expand it into a department and allow one personnel from every regiment to write reports and tell me, hey, this is our week. This is what happened this week within the regiment, whether it be the events we've done, how much recruitment we've gotten, are some concerns or complaints, what we need help with from high command, etc. Of course, me and Vel agreed that we can work things out. Instead, we can move all this because obviously it doesn't need its own role or department. I think this is something that if we all agree on as high command can be pushed for high command to be doing. It's just more so that push had to be there, and that push was there with that rank and department and role.
How many
'Cause there was
people
no previous
reported
push.
stuff to your office?
I had about, well, I would say the department itself only lasted a week, so I only got a couple. I only got a couple proper.
Why did it
reports,
last a week?
But it lasted a week because Vel decided to reform the army once again, and I was promoted. And of course, I didn't want anyone to take that job because there's really no one else that could have done that job besides myself. Especially because only I understood what it was that needed to be
How
done.
can you
Now,
be certain that only you can do that job then?
because I had brought in someone else to help me out, and
So someone
and
else could
I
have taken the job and brought someone else in. That doesn't mean you're the only person qualified. Vel, your rebuttal.
I was gonna add on to what you just said now. Basically, when I rejoined right after Django's reform, I believe the Inspector General thing had existed for 2 weeks till then. I don't think it lasted a week. I think that's a bit of a very big exaggeration. Sorry, a very small one. I don't know. I don't actually know how the word I'd put for that. But yeah, that's very wrong. It existed for a while. Right after the reform I disbanded it because everybody had been telling me, and I mean everybody because like a lot of people had DM me, that it's useless. It's a filler gen staff role that does nothing. When I got there, that's when the reports for the Inspector General stuff actually started happening. And I just got rid of it then after that anyway. I had given him permission to make something new, like a administrative department of the army, so everybody, and it'd be a gen staff overall thing, and still hasn't happened. So I'm waiting on that, but it's not there. So that's all.
All right, I've got my own rebuttal as well. I will say, so my role itself did last a month. I was brought in by Sam last month to work on it. The role itself was there for a while, but the thing that lasted the week was the department, like Vel said. He came in, I created the department under his permission, and I had a proper what would be the word? I had a proper way of having these reports come into me in a more formal sense, because the only way I had them was people DMing me. I did have several people DMing me. I had one for 9th messaging me. I had First Minnesota, especially First Minnesota, messaging me because they finally had somebody voice out their opinions. I had 36 Ohio. I had 8th Ohio. I had my own guys pretty much telling me, "Hey, this is what we want to be fixed."
I will say, real quick, as someone who believes in functionality, I don't really understand the organization that the AOTP has had, having so many officers in these high positions that basically do lackey work. Because in AONV, when we have like an inspector general kind of person, they're just a sergeant. They're like low level people. They don't have any call to their name, if that makes any sense. And so, Brun, like you asked earlier, I do think that the AOTP has a history of having these kind of filler ranks, and that is obviously automatically on Vel. But because Vel, he's one of those guys. He's from NW. He does a lot of the little cheesy things. So is Xavier. So that their experience is kind of not of functionality, but for show. And I do think that is an issue that they have. And so, as the very last question, I'll ask Xavier this. Vel, you will have no response. You'll just have to think on it. Xavier, what do you think is important about the value of a rank? Do you give Colonel out to just anyone, or is that something that takes actual time for them to earn? And should it take time for them to earn? Django, leave, bro. The fuck, bro. Son.
We have a battle in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. So
I-
answer quickly, Xavier.
I do agree that yes, it takes time to earn the rank. You cannot hand out the colonel rank like it's nothing. I believe the way this setup, the system is set up here in the AOTP has, well, the current system we've been putting up has been great. We give new regiment commanders captain, and if they cannot rally more than 10, they stay captain. They only have a singular company. If they want to grow as a regiment and the officers want to go up the ranks, then hey, rally more, rally 15, rally 20,
I
rally as
see that.
much as you
I
can,
do.
and you will
I
go up.
do see that. I do see that in your organization, but at the same time, I also do see divisions and brigades. But like a division is made up of brigades, like, and you have generals. I do feel that I'm not criticizing this. I'm just asking, what do you think about that? Just a couple words.
Yes, that's the part that really gets me the most with brigades. The only reason I only have one brigadier command, the only reason I only have one brigadier, why my Ohio brigade doesn't have a brigadier general is because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think Ohio needs a brigadier general to command them when they already have me commanding them. What is the point of having someone below me? When they already need to follow my order. I don't see a purpose of it continuously going down the ranks because that is pretty much just rank sitting. There's not much for the brigadiers to do in
So,
battle when I'm pretty
so you
much
don't
commanding
believe.
overall.
So you don't believe in hierarchy.
The hierarchy is already there, is the thing. The hierarchy is already established. There is just no
Well,
need for there to be more
is
more
there really a
to-
hierarchy though if it goes from the units directly to you? Is that really a hierarchy?
Unfortunately, we have to cut it there. We are about to have the community battle because someone screwed up the times in the AHD faction server. Thank you all for joining the debate. We loved having you all here. We thank you for joining into the stream. We thank you for voting. We thank you for participating. Best of luck to both Vel and Xavier in the upcoming election. We will be uploading this as a video, hopefully, maybe. Don't quote me on it. But go rally to your regiment, and may the best win today. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
First Texas
I have to go
victory.
rally.
First Texas victory.